Good evening, everybody, our vast audience. It is, per this clock, 5:30 p.m. on July 12, 2023. Welcome to the Downtown Development Board meeting. I ask that everyone silence their phones and cease private conversations. And I remind the members to lean forward and speak clearly. And we're going to start with introductions of members and ex officio members off to my left.
Raymond Casano.
Shahab Amrani.
Keenan Kinsel.
Terry Nowitzki.
Jennifer Frazier.
Festus Pulbany.
Vice Mayor and National Treasurer Mark Bunker.
Okay, thank you. So, first on our agenda tonight is item 2.1, the June 7th, 2023 meeting minutes. If you've got them pulled up or have seen them, any corrections? Anybody? Opposed? It's unanimous. Okay, next up is going to be citizens to be heard regarding items not on the agenda. Before we start, one second. Comments are limited to the matters within the DDB district and on which the DDB can act. Let's see, anything else that's on the agenda will be held to the agenda item in question. And please identify yourself clearly for the record, and you have a time of 3 minutes. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. My name is Marty Marshall. I live up on 19. And I came across this in the paper, and since it might affect downtown, I thought I'd bring it. This is the Beatles Museum, which was apparently disapproved by Governor DeSantis to have it brought to the library here, from Dunedin to the library. But I was thinking that you've got all these empty places downtown. It would be cool to have one of those places take this up. It says it brings in hundreds of people a month, which would be a nice boon to downtown. So I just wanted to point that out, and hopefully you guys can connect up. I know Hooper's working on something, I don't know what.
Beatles, the band?
The Beatles, the band.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know, you know.
He's got
Florida.
a whole museum, a Beatles museum with memorabilia and stuff in Dunedin. And it gets hundreds of people a month there, so we can
Nice.
get them here.
Well, maybe if you coordinate with Ann, maybe something can be done. She works magic. Thank
Have
you.
they lost
Thank you.
their ability to have it in Dunedin?
Pardon?
Have they lost the ability?
No, the problem they're having is that they need a bigger space that has more that they can put. They want to do a feely-touchy kind of a thing, more of a technological thing, and they need a bigger space.
I see, they need a better
That's
space.
my understanding of it. I just what the paper says.
Nice. Well, thanks for bringing it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Who doesn't like the Beatles?
Yeah, who doesn't?
Thank you.
Anyone else? No? Okay. Next up, Ms. Lopez, 4.1, May 2023 financial statement.
Good evening, Ann Lopez, Senior CRA Manager. The first item that I have for you today, I'll be here at this exact location all evening. The first item that I have for you today is the approval of your May 2023 financial statement for filing. Your funds, sorry, I just found a mistake. Your funds spent in the month of May were $23,728.50. Those went to, are listed out in your agenda item, and your ending balance is $587,089.06. I would like to note that there is just a little over $54,000 left in your marketing category line item that has been unallocated. So that's money you still have available to provide to anybody for marketing funds for this year. You have $90,000 remaining in your business assistance category and just a little over $22,000 in your policy and project work.
Excellent. Board questions?
Just want, Anne, could you just explain to the public why it says ending balance is 587,000 and then we only have 54,000 in unallocated to marketing?
Sure. So your ending balance of $587,000, that's for your budget in its totality. The $54,000 that you have left is specific to your marketing line category. Based on your budget, the way that you guys had allocated funding, you had about $500,000 that had been allocated to that specific line or category in your budget. So you have approved $456,000 in special event funding. And we have paid, as of June 26, which is when I created this agenda item, about $250,000, which left $204,000 that has yet to still be paid. That could mean that they haven't submitted their invoicing, their event hasn't occurred, or they actually came in under budget. So they may have been approved for, say, $10,000, but really only spent $7,000, which still would leave $3,000 left in that for that specific event.
Thank you.
Perfect. Any other questions? Citizen comments? Like a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the May 2022-23 statement of finances.
Okay, second. So we have a motion by Jennifer and a second by Festus. Any further board discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous. I'm going to go back and then come back.
No, I'm stretched. I'm ready.
Ready to go. All right. 4.2, certified taxable value received from Pinellas County property appraiser.
So this next item I have for you, Ann Lopez, Senior CRA Manager, is to certify your taxable values that are anticipated to be received from the Pinellas County Property Appraiser's Office. On May 30th, 2023, Pinellas County Property Appraiser's Office provided the 2023 preliminary tax roll. The taxable value for the Downtown Development Board is $479,573,955, which is a decrease of 6.39% over last year's taxable value of $487,474,210. There's no motion or anything that needs to be done. This is just me certifying, letting you guys know what the taxable value is. This actually begins our trim process today.
We don't need a motion, even though it says so here.
Sorry.
No problem. Can we ask questions?
Absolutely.
Any questions? Anybody? Is there a reason it dropped?
So I actually asked that question today. And this is just the estimate that the county is saying that we're going to receive. It could, we're not quite sure what that's from. But we will have better numbers in about December, January.
Okay, so it's the estimate.
Yes.
Gotcha, thank you. Okay, 4.3, request for adoption of the aggregate millage rate of 0.97 for fiscal year 2023-2024.
Again, Ann Lopez, CRA Senior Manager. This item I have before you is to adopt your millage for the 2023-2024 fiscal year. Historically, you have always adopted a 0.9700 mill. This is, again, what we will use to begin your truth and millage process.
Board questions? No? Citizen comments? Like a motion? Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to adopt the aggregate millage rate of 0.9700 for fiscal year 2023-24.
Excellent. We have a second. So Shahab first motion and Terry the second. Any other further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. 4.4. Sure you don't want to break, Ann?
Nope.
Okay. Set public hearing dates for the proposed millage and budget on September 5th, 2023, and September 13th, 2023.
The Ann Lopez, Senior CRA Manager. The truth and millage schedule for 2023 states that within 65 days of the certification of value, which we just did a couple of minutes ago, the taxing authority must hold public hearings on the proposed millage rate and a tentative budget. What I have done is looked at the schedules for Pinellas County, the school board, the city council, to find what days in September will work. And the days that we found were September 5th and September 13th. September 5th is a Tuesday, and the 13th is the following Wednesday. So those would be your first and second budget hearings.
Would we have a regular meeting that month?
No, those would be your two meetings for September.
Any other questions? Excellent. 4.5, the minimum reserves for fiscal 23-24 at $75,000, which is recommended. Ann?
Ann Lopez, Senior CRA Manager. In 2016, the Downtown Development Board approved establishing a minimum reserve as part of your annual budget process. We did a budget amendment in January for this current year that we're in, and we increased your minimum reserves to $75,000. It's my recommendation you just continue on with the $75,000 unless the board wants to increase or decrease.
Board questions?
Yeah, have we ever, when was the last time we dipped into this reserve?
Not since I've been here.
Okay. It's been a couple months.
Yeah, no, I have not known that we've had to ever dip into reserves, but it's always there if we need it.
Okay.
It was discussed with COVID, wasn't it, at one point?
During COVID, I think we increased. I think at one point it actually went up to 100,000 as your minimum reserves, and that was because we didn't know what outcomes were going to come from COVID. Now that we're kind of out of that and we've kind of seen what's been going on during the fiscal year for this year, it had originally started at 50, and then, like I said, when we did your budget amendment and I was able to bring more money in, that's when we decided to increase it to 75.
It's our own hurricane virus plan,
Yeah.
just in case.
Okay.
Like we did give $250,000 to another group to help handle the downtown during COVID, and had we gotten a lot of more asks, we probably would have had to have dipped into it, right? Have you ever seen it dipped into?
No, but it is financially prudent to have a reserve. If you were a business, I would say this was way too low, but for a government relying on property tax, it's not.
Okay. Any other? Okay, great. Thanks. Next item, 4.7, oh wait, is that right?
Do we vote?
4.6, discussion on the fiscal year 2023-2024 budget. I tried to go right by that.
I know, this is the one item I was looking forward to.
Sorry about that.
Ann Lopez, Senior CRA Manager. So this item that we have, in August, I will be bringing forward a tentative budget. Before I did that, I wanted to have a discussion with you as a board to see how do you want your budget set up. So what I have provided for all of you there is a copy of your approved two-year work plan. And let me slide my papers over. And what we have here on the screen is your amended budget. So this was the budget that was amended in January. Is the screen on here? Okay, it might pop on here in a minute.
Now it is.
Okay. So again, this is your amended budget that was approved in January. So you can see this right here is essentially the total number that we were working with. This is $518,000 was what I was able to bring over as unallocated funding. And by doing that, we were able to increase your marketing category to a little over $540,000. Your business assistance category was $185,000, so you had $100,000 here for business assistance grants. And policy and project work, we did not move any money over into that. And then what we also had done was we had moved some money into future downtown initiatives. So this was different projects that we had anticipated. One of them here was the downtown permanent lighting, that when we had this discussion, the board said, well, we want to keep that item on our budget, but we don't really know what we want to fund. So that money just kind of came in here to future downtown initiatives. And then down here you have your staff and administration and fixed payments, which unfortunately that's my part of the budget. This is what pays your operating expenses, your legal notices, your attorney, your CRA admin fee, and all the audits, state fees, tax collector commissions, property appraisers, and an insurance that you guys are required to by state. So with all of that being said, is this similar to how you want your budget for next year? Marketing heavy? Do we want it business assistance heavy? Do we, this is free discussion that's going to help me kind of sit down and create your budget that I'll be bringing forward to you next month for next year.
Anybody with questions?
So a quick question is, how much have we spent on, or we used from the business assistance in the past 2 years?
So for the past 2 years, you have had one request each year. So recently, you had a request from the owner of Emily's Restaurant for $10,000 for new signage. And the year before that, you had another request, and I get them confused. One year, it was a SimCity Center, and that one was also for a business sign. And then the other one that you've had was for
Infinity?
Mr. Infinity, and he also received funding for the DDB for a sign. And it's been for the last 3 years, so you've received one each year.
Very little, actually.
Yeah, that was mine.
Isn't the digital marketing program also part of business assistance?
Yes, but it's its own line item right here, the downtown business marketing program. So as far as the line that you have here, that's business assistance grants, that's $100,000. That's specifically for anyone who comes forward. So Emily's Restaurant, their $10,000 would have come out of this $100,000, but the pilot program, that's this line right here for business assistance marketing program that has a budget of $50,000.
So newbie here, what would contribute to the lack of requests? Do people not know that the money is available, or? Okay.
But now that you're here,
That's right.
I would point out, Ann and I had a discussion recently, and with this gorgeous park that's now launched and all the activity that's there, there's going to be a lot more funding requests. We don't know from who, what, where at this point, from either generated from the Parks Department, or just people in general going there, plus moving east as the gateway opens up. There's a lot of businesses from here to, we go all the way to Nature's Food Patch. So we started the conversation about possibly looking into private locations such as Nature's Food Patch, Frank Crum, et cetera, being notified that we have money, and that other people, if we promote correctly, could then joint venture, so to speak, with these businesses, and then that money could come out of one of these categories, so that we start getting more and more action towards the gateway. Those people, I don't think in general know we exist, correct? So there are some things we could do. The question came up on liability and whatnot, which with Shahab here, I'm sure we could figure that out. Insurance.
So one thing I would point out, one of the items that was on your work plan was to support the creation of a special event guide. And I've pulled that up so that way I can share that. Vicki started kind of in the middle of the creation of this 2-year work plan with the idea that she would be doing a lot with special events. And she's still, working with a lot of those partners that have come forward to you guys recently this year. But she has pretty much learned this special event process. And I know Jay can attest that when someone comes forward and they ask a question about a special event in downtown, it's like, let me get you through to Vicky, because she knows it. So this really is the guide for anybody who is coming to do any sort of special event. And if you are going to do a special event on public property, so a park, Station Square, Coachman, the Cleveland Street, you have to go through the special event process. If you were able to talk to a private property owner, say where Nature's Food Patch is at, and as an example, say to them, I want to do a market in your parking lot on Sundays. Well, that still falls within your boundaries, so they could come to you to ask for funding. Again, as long as it is within your boundaries, and as long as it is an event that's open to the public. That's part of what your policy states. So they could do that. As Keenan and I were talking, we have not had anybody that has come forward to want to do an event on private property. But again, that's not to say that we would tell them no. We just haven't had that. We did have one, but that request actually fell outside of the DDB boundaries, so we weren't able to move forward with them. But it's something to consider down the road.
Especially when the Nolan's about to be done and they have a pretty large microbrewery inside, and that could spill over into the sidewalk. And then it's the Mexican restaurant in the strip mall there. The
Yes.
sidewalks that are being built are large, public access. So if you contain with the business, with the sidewalks, et cetera, there could be a lot more events, public-private, correct? So anyway, thinking with that, not sure how to promote it, but
It's just, again, as we're having this discussion about how you would like for your budget for next year to look, these are things to consider. That this could happen. Somebody could come forward and say, I would like to do this event in this parking lot, and I've worked everything out, and,
will Cleveland Street be completed this year, all the way up to
in
Delta
the gateway,
Bay?
yes.
So it opens up the whole corridor. There'll be a lot more traffic, a lot more business and people. So anyway,
I have a question. And do we still have a marketing person? Do we have money allocated for a marketing person?
So we don't have a marketing person. What we had talked about doing was we had talked about starting and I'm looking at your work plan because I know that it's in here. I think it is part of your business assistance in doing just an overall awareness and marketing of the DDB as a whole and kind of doing a rebranding of that. Howard had started that process and then left. So I'm hoping once we get some new staff starting soon that that's something that I'll be able to pick back up. Yeah.
Thank you.
and Vicky's out and about also, right?
Vicki is out and about.
Her position has changed a bit, or?
Correct. So she was originally hired for special events in downtown, which worked very well for those that were coming forward to the board. She has since been appointed as a CRA manager over programs, and so she's actually out and about with the business owners, talking to them. She's doing that throughout all of the CRA, which of course encompasses the DDB, as well as once we've got things moving forward for our new North Greenwood CRA as well.
So with the change with the park, we don't really know where the asks will come from exactly, but we do also have the ability to move money around as needed,
Yes.
right? So if somebody comes in, we can just reallocate. It's not fixed.
Great.
Correct. So your marketing, business assistance, and policy and project work, those out of all the categories on your budget, those are the three that you can shift money around as need be throughout the year.
Hopefully there'll be a lot more signage requests soon. Any other questions? No?
So if there's, I'm going to continue with a marketing-heavy budget, followed by business assistance and then policy and project work, if the board doesn't.
That's good.
Okay,
Perfect.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
4.7, appointment of Downtown Development Board members to serve as the nominating committee members for the October 2023 election.
Ann Lopez, Senior Sierra Manager.
I was
Told you
wondering
guys.
who you are.
I told you guys that I would be standing here all evening. So this item is to request appointment for the Downtown Development Board members to serve as the nominating committee for your election this year. So we have 3 seats that will be up. That's those that are held by Ray Casano, Terry Nowitzki, and Jen Frazier. And I have reached out to 3 members to find out if they have plans that they would like to run again. And what I will also be doing is reaching out to those members, those people that were interested. And when Caitlin had to vacate her seat and see if they're also interested. But for the rest of you, this is, assuming appointment here, that we would help as far as finding people that are interested in serving on the Downtown Development Board for a 3-year term.
Are those leaving eligible
No.
to appoint? To appoint.
They're eligible to be part of the nominating committee if they do not plan to run. Okay? It's cleaner if you just pick the people who are, whose terms aren't up.
Okay.
Okay? And actually, that appointment was just to fill the balance, so you're going to be running again also. So the people, if they're not running and they want to be on the nominating committee, that's permissible.
This is something I appoint, correct?
You can as the chairman, yes.
Or would people volunteer is better?
Both.
So who's eligible? Ray is eligible because you've publicly said you're not running, correct?
Right, exactly.
You want to state it for everybody?
I'm not running, and I'm eligible to be on the nominating.
So those that would be eligible for the nominating committee would be Member Casano, Member Imrani, Chairman Kensel, Member Porbeni, and though she is not here, Kiara Zanapini.
Who does not want to participate?
I won't be able to because I'll be gone quite a bit next several months.
Can you do it remotely?
May I
Yes.
clarify? Being on the nominating committee does not mean you have to meet. Being on the nominating committee means that members of the nominating committee actively, if you do have a meeting, we need to treat it like a public meeting, okay? If you do have a meeting, you need to get with Ann and do all the publication and everything, so you're gonna have to give her enough time. If you are going to do it the way it's traditionally been done, and this is not required, then what you are committing to do is you're going to be contacting people and see if they're interested in running, and then see if they're qualified, and then give the names to Ann. Okay?
I think several of us were trying to fill the position you're holding. At least I did. I tried to contact several.
We,
I think every one of us
for that
should.
seat, we had
I-
quite a few
Lawyer.
applicants. I did have 2 applicants that they said they were interested, and then at the last minute, after talking and learning more about the board and the time constraint, they chose not to run to fill the appointment, but I also will still reach out to them. And anybody who is interested in serving on the board, you all have my contact information. Anybody who's listening, they can call me, 727-562-4039, or email me at ann.lopez@myclearwater.com.
Good. I'd like to appoint all those mentioned, other than those who do not want to participate.
All right, sounds good.
And those would be,
That would be Mr. Casano. You are abstaining, correct?
I'll be more than happy to continue on via emails and phone calls, but I'll
So
contribute.
Shahab, myself, Terry, and,
No, because I'm.
Terry's, she's
like I said, Ray, Shahab, myself, not Terry,
Festus and
and Festus and Kiara.
That's plenty.
That should get some more
Yeah.
people in here. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
I suppose you're going to stay for the next item, too.
Just for a part of it.
Okay, good. Old business, 5.1 CRA updates. Digital advertising pilot program update.
Ann Lopez, Senior CRA Manager. So I gave Eric the evening off since this was kind of the only little item he would have to come forward. Just a quick update on the digital advertising pilot program. We have 8 businesses that are in that program. They are Gulf Coast European Automotive Services, Bob's Auto Repair of Clearwater, Pennell's Computers, One Stop Shop, Daff and Dream, Shelby Construction, Emily's Restaurant, and the Downtown Vaporium. I did talk with Eric today. He has not heard from anybody, so that's not necessarily good or bad, but he will send an email out the middle of this month just to let folks know. Don't forget, we're still in the middle of this program. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. eric.santiago@myclearwater.com.
Perfect. Thank you, Ann.
Yep.
CRA updates, Dr. J. Matthews.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hello.
Matthew, CRA Director. Quite a few updates. The first one I want to start with is staffing. We are onboarding 3 new people right now, and then 2 more after October. They'll all be 3 CRA specialists. One will be general that works closely with Ann, so you'll see that person a lot. Working with our boards, with the DDB, and also with the new CAC that's coming on board with the North Greenwood CRA. The next will be an information specialist, working in the communications, marketing side, and also stakeholder relations that will be out and about with Vicki. So once they're on board, we will definitely introduce them and get them up and running. One more specifically, though, for DDB. Secondly, with the park opening, I know you've hopefully seen all the business booming. We've had restaurants, every seat filled, spilling out in the street, up and down, all over the place, and that's great news for us. There are several things that we're doing to, I guess, accommodate the foot traffic that's generated from Coachman. The first thing is that we released a new grants program that our trustees approved. We have $50,000, up to $50,000 for facade improvement, as well as interior, $25,000 for each. We have a $3,500 micro grant for restaurants, for essential restaurant equipment, anything you need to run a restaurant. And several
I'm sorry,
others.
are these for new restaurants or?
No,
existing?
3,500 is not really going to help a new restaurant. So 3,500 for any piece of essential equipment for existing food and beverages, brick and mortar locations in the CRA.
Great.
Yeah. And what else am I going to point out? Oh, so even our business development, our business renovation grant, we've revamped that. So all of our grants programs are at a downtown Clearwater website and also on the CRA site. So please go to those sites. The grants were eligible, available for application as of July 1. One thing that we made sure that we did was streamline the application process. You'll see one page, and it won't ask for a lot, just the pertinent things, and we'll be having grants reviews as a team to figure out what program we can best serve under, or if it's, we can do part of this program, part of that program. So the ask is going to be for you to let us know what your goal is, and then as a CRA team, we'll determine how to best do that. So please check out our grants programs. And I think that might be all the updates I have for now.
Well,
Unless
thank you.
anyone has any questions, I can definitely answer them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, great, thanks, so. We're excited.
Okay, 5.2, city updates regarding the DDB district. Ex officio members, Mr. Bunker.
Well, first, thank you for bringing up the East Gateway. It's not that they don't know that we're here, it's they think we don't care. And that's not just this board, but the city as a whole. And it's because they've had so much street work being done in front of their businesses for so long. But we're getting to the point now where everything's going to open up, and we're going to, really be able to get them back on their feet. Because it has been tough for their businesses. We had an amazingly successful opening of Coachman Park. It was so exciting to see tens of thousands of people enjoying the park, kids playing on the splash pad, and people, sitting on the lawn waiting for the 4th of July fireworks and coming to see concerts at the Sound. It was so impressive, and it gives us a real chance here. This is a real turning point for the city. And I think that's going to continue to be a great success. The only thing that we have to worry about now are the Scientology property owners who are holding up putting businesses in those buildings. And if there's anyone in the city who can
That's
deal
not
with
true.
that.
That is not true. Do you have evidence of that?
Excuse me?
I have personal clients that have tried to rent those from business owners that were not part of the church. So that is not a factual statement.
Well, those folks.
Please give us specifics if you're going to say that. That is really not okay.
Well, the vast majority of the properties are owned by Scientology.
Give me the exact addresses and I'll verify that because I have clients that have gone. Please do that.
Well, Mr. Agami, for instance, was asking for $750,000 up front for somebody to move into one of his properties. That's insane.
That's not true.
And this is the type of thing that you should be trying to talk to them about because, Lord knows, I can't get within 10 feet of any of you. But who better to address this than the folks here on the board?
Okay.
And that's all I'll say on that.
Very unprofessional, but thank you.
Thank you. The chair's report. Number 6, Coachman Park. You stole some of my thunder. I was planning to talk about all the good stuff that happened down there, but you already did that. But from my point of view, being here 20 years, watching, when I first moved in and was actually renting from Mr. Casano, I'd moved from Chicago, the bustling streets of Chicago, and literally one day they had just torn up the streets to move Gulf to Bay to Gulf to Bay, because everybody used to come down Cleveland Street, right, with the drawbridge. And I can vividly remember looking out my window, watching tumbleweed. And we're not in Arizona, we're not in Texas, and I promise to God it was
I
tumbleweed.
saw it too.
Right?
Right down the hill.
I was thinking, I must be out of my mind. I've moved from Chicago to Tumbleweed Central. And we have come a long way, is what I would like to say. The city, the council, the CRA, everybody, the taxpayers, of course, have done a fantastic job, in my opinion, of transforming downtown to an open environment where the train has left the station. I mean, with the park, the cherry on the cake, I taught my daughter to drive there back in the middle where the grass is. It used to be a parking lot. And I probably drove 400 miles there teaching her how to drive. So to walk down there and see rollerbladers and kites and soccer and volleyball and, of course, concerts, it was massively better than anything we've seen in 20 years. And I just see it continuing.
Ever.
So,
Ever.
And more to come, and with the buildings under construction, and I get people coming to my office, probably like you, almost every month asking questions about how, who, what, where do I talk to? So we route them all to Ann. So get ready, there's more coming. And the gateway is, not to be left out, it's another beautiful addition. The corridor, it's gorgeous, totally gorgeous. So I'm excited about the future, like never before in the 20 years I've been here. And upcoming events, as you mentioned, there's a website, or I guess Dr. J mentioned, downtownclearwater.com. We've had many events already in the park. There's many more coming, such as Greg Gutfeld, Michael Franti and Spearhead, Goo Goo Dolls, with special guests OAR and John Fogerty, all at the Sound. The Clearwater Arts Alliance Public Art Walk is on July 15th. And apparently, maybe even tonight, is there in the park tonight, the yoga? So in the park tonight, Station Square Park, every Wednesday night through August 30th, there's yoga in Station Square Park. It's open to the public. So if you want to stretch and get flexible, I walk by and my back hurts, so I don't think I'll be going there. So that's happening, a lot more happening. The Market Marie was even successful in the rain. So things are definitely changing for the better. And it's a good time to be in Clearwater, and if you're watching and you're not down here, you should come check it out. Yes. So Thank you very much. That's all I have. And with that, at 6:08, meeting adjourned.